This is way worse than we thought. Shemar Stewart in the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals continues to intensify. We're going to discuss what happened and why things are only heating up in this ongoing contract dispute between the front office and first-round draft pick Shemar Stewart. Welcome to the jungle. This is Isaac Coffman with Bengals Digest. So happy to see all you Bengals fans and to be here for breaking news as it happens. If you want to be up to date, make sure you smash that subscribe so you'll be all in the know as training camp is right here. This week we are here. All you Bengals fans we've been waiting to see, but unfortunately we have some news that just continues to grow. It just, what else is there to say? The drama is unfolding, but let's start with how this all started. So Duke Tobin met with the media ahead of training camp, and there's so much to unpack. I highly suggest you go listen to that interview. There's a lot of interesting points that he talked about, not just with the contract, but also with camp to build the excitement that we can look forward to. But there is something of very interesting point to bring out when it comes to Shemar Stewart. He said that he doesn't blame Shemar Stewart directly, and it was more of his agent. That's really what we're going to come back to with all of this. It's just crazy because this is all happening in front of us. This is what Duke Tobin had to say to start the interview. He said, "I don't blame Shemar. He's listening to the advice he's paying for. I don't understand the advice. We're treating him fairly." Very interesting. Not throwing any shade there at Shemar, but definitely taking a dig at his agent. We know what's going on so far. We've heard it time and again that Shemar Stewart is not showing up so far to training camp. He left early minicamp, was not practicing during minicamp. So it's causing a lot of drama because he still has not signed. And the reasoning for that being it comes back to the wording of the contract. Those guarantees are void, not just for that year, if there's some kind of code of conduct or whatever it is that could cause a guarantee to be void. It's not for just that year, but for the whole contract, for multiple years. That and rumor of the guaranteed money, how it's not up front, the percentage. There's a lot of back and forth that Stewart is not happy with how the contract is structured. And his agent is been telling him not to practice. He, again, was there at minicamp, but left early. And now, so far, here we are. Training camp is about to begin. Rookies were to report on Saturday, but Stewart was not there. We'll come back to that more. But Duke Tobin went on further. There were some interesting comments that he said concerning Stewart. He said, "I hope Shemar comes in. He needs to be here. I would encourage him to be here. He would be a factor for a championship caliber football team. I'd like to see him, and I hope he gets here soon." So despite all the drama, he's saying the right things. I agree with Duke here, where he needs to be there. He needs to prove all of these doubters wrong. If in fact he feels that he's worth all of this drama, all of the restructuring of the contract to be more to his liking, well, he needs to be in camp. He needs to be here and show that he is worth that contract negotiation, whether it's more guaranteed money, whether it's that wording. By not being here, he's just adding fuel to that fire. This is a guy that only had 4 sacks in college. He has all the tangibles. He has all the physical traits that you would want in a defensive end. But we've seen that time and again. So many prospects that have come through, but they weren't able to put it together. So there's still a question mark with him. And all this is doing is it's making a distraction for not just the team, but for himself. This could delay what kind of development he could be attaining right now if he would voice his displeasure, but still be at camp, at least showing up, being around his teammates. And that's also what Mike Brown actually went on to say, because Mike Brown was also interviewed when it came to Shemar Stewart and his feelings and thoughts on it. And I found this very interesting. Here's what Mike Brown said. He said, "We've been here for a long time. It's never happened. And that's holding up this contract. From our vantage point, It's a form of foolishness. It just ought to get done. Now he's talking about the wording, how it's never happened that's holding up a contract, of how it's becoming such an issue. I think you can look at past contracts and it certainly was a issue, but to this extent, for all the publicity that it is getting, I think that's what he was talking about here. And I understand that. This is making so many headlines. And Mike Brown was saying about how it's not about the guarantees. It's not about the money. It's about if there's a code of conduct violation. And Mike Brown has come out and said that a person should not be owed that. And what's interesting about this is a lot of other teams have this in their wording. This isn't something new. If anything, this is something that the Bengals are late to the party on. Duke Tobin actually said that as much. Again, I encourage you to look up that interview. It is very fascinating to hear the comments out there. And Duke Tobin said as much. He said, if we're not the last team that has this type of wording in its contracts, we're one of the last. So that's what's interesting about this drama that continues to unfold. Seeing this as it's happening. Again, this interview happened today. It happened on Monday, but just later on, just a few hours later, this is where things got a little juicy. This is like, I'm just going to say everything turned up on terms of the heat scale. This came from his agent, Zac Hiller. He said, Duke Tobin has no involvement in this negotiation. He seems to be above his pay grade. Coming straight from his agent, Shemar Stewart's agent. That's some interesting stuff right there, I have to say. That's just wild. How soon of a response. This shows you there's a lot of heat going on between these negotiations. I've seen where there's disagreements in certain draft picks. You've seen them maybe sit out on training camp, things like that. But this might escalate. The way things are going, the way that his agent responded so quickly, it's got you wondering, just where's this going to go? What is Duke Tobin going to do with an agent that is very quick to fire back at him? I don't think the agent, goes without saying, appreciated those comments. And, that's just crazy to me that this is going on right in front of us. It's unfolding. Who knows what's going to happen next? This is live reenactment because it's been quiet for so long. And here we have action. But unfortunately, it's not the kind we want. We want this resolved. We want things to move on and see what he's about. Again, Stewart has so much to prove on the field. I feel a little bad for him because this is just damaging what he could be accomplishing if this goes on. Because the way things are feeling, there's that tense. When you hear the way Mike Brown talks, you can just tell he's just kind of shaking his head about it, like, why are we here? And at one point when it came to Duke Tobin, he kind of shut things down because the questions kept coming back about the specifics. What is it in the wording? What is it that is causing Stewart to sit out? And he didn't want to elaborate. He called it the weeds. That's it, kind of in the weeds. He answered the questions. He was more professional about it than, I'll just say, Stewart's agent calling him out there. But it's just interesting to see this all unfold right in front of us. Very interesting. I don't recall something this intense, but again, we just hope that this blows over. Hopefully they're able to come to where they can just get over it. I mean, this is starting to blow up right in front of us, and we're talking about a contract, about wording. It's on paper. So sacrifices need to be made, I think, on both sides. Maybe what will happen if it has to do with guaranteed money, if it's about the timing portion, maybe that's something the Bengals can come to Stewart with. Look, we'll put up more of a guarantee if you can agree to this wording, because this is something that's going to be implemented and most of the league is doing it. So this is not any different. But this is just going to be interesting. Something to keep an eye on. This continues to just heat up as the days go on. And again, we are in training camp here. This is the week of training camp. So it remains to be seen. But what do you guys think? Is this going to keep getting worse and worse? Do you think that it's finally something's going to give, that they work things out, that Shemar Stewart will be in training camp? We want to hear from you guys. Comment below what you think. And for a positive, what are you looking forward to in this training camp? Is there a player you are specifically keeping an eye on? There's going to be all kinds of position battles, so you don't want to miss out. Smash that subscribe so you'll be up to date on all the breaking news as they come out. So that's going to do it for now, guys. As we say, Hoo day.